So what did I think of the first Matrix? Well, that opinion is something that has changed a lot over the years. The first time I saw it, I thought it was really awesome and really original. Like everyone else at the time, I thought it was a really unique idea to have human beings serving machines and being imprisoned in a mental realm, so to speak. It actually took me a while to realize that this is actually one of the most unoriginal ideas in science fiction. The only way anyone could think this was unique is if they had never so much as seen an episode of Star Trek or The Twilight Zone, which I actually had at the time, but I don't know. I was 18 years old when I saw this the first time. Maybe you just don't have very high standards when your only goal is to chase girls and play video games. As far as the philosophy, I knew precisely zero about that subject at the time, so every time someone in the movie said something philosophical, I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. Like I said, things have changed. The philosophy parts of the original Matrix were much better than in the last two, probably because they only focus on two major philosophical concerns, ontology and the philosophy of the mind. But since reviewing the sequels to this movie, I have discovered that not everyone cares about the philosophical crap in the movies, and so I've decided to simply review the movie itself here and make a separate video for all the philosophy stuff. Those who either care or not can either choose to watch that particular video or not. The Matrix is kinda one of those guy movies. You have lots of explosions, girls in leather, really cool special effects, and chase scenes. As far as an action movie goes, it's pretty good. The thing that this movie needs more of are characters. Everyone in this movie, with the exception of Cypher and the Oracle, just needs a personality transplant. They're all playing the same person. That really kills the ending too, when Neo falls in love with Trinity. I mean, he may as well have fallen in love with Morpheus for all that their personalities were any freaking different. Everyone in this movie belongs on CSI. The only reason we even care the slightest about Neo is because of his journey from inexperienced to savior. It really has nothing to do with his personality at all. Still, it's fun to watch Morpheus try and turn him from a student into a teacher, and the movie gives us enough to keep us interested despite the shallow characters. The plot runs in an almost unbroken, predictable path. Basically, a man is awakened from an artificial world and is said to be that world's savior. Those in the Matrix will be liberated, and a revolution will begin that brings down the Matrix for good. The beginning, middle, and end are fairly predictable, but with a few interesting turns here and there. Your perception of Morpheus as the man who has all the answers completely changes after Neo's first visit to the Oracle, and I really didn't know where things were going to go from then on, as far as that particular story thread was concerned. I also like the idea that these people were able to defend themselves better in the dream world than in reality. When the Sentinels are after you, all you can do is either hit the EMP or hide and pray. The agents were very threatening. I hadn't been this intimidated since T-1000 in Terminator 2. They do their job in hunting down and killing those in the Resistance, and for the most part, they feel nothing. But when they do feel something, it's nothing but anger and contempt. You know you're in trouble when these guys are targeting you. A lot of the mental puzzles that go along with the plot are nice as well, which is something that I cannot say about either of the two sequels.
I'd ask you to sit down, but you're not going to anyway. And don't worry about the vase.
What vase?
That vase.
How did you know?
Oh, what's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything?
Now, that was an interesting and funny paradox. Certainly better than the idea of making choices before you make them, or the car driving you. What I found to be most interesting about this movie is that being outside the Matrix actually kinda sucks. You're stuck on this crappy little hover ship eating pasty crap that tastes like shit, and you never know when you're going to be attacked by something that you have virtually no defense against. Given all of these factors, it's almost preferable to be in the Matrix, even if you're oblivious to the fact that it's just a dream world. This raises the question of whether or not the idea of freedom is even worth going to all the trouble for. Why not just live out a happy life in the Matrix and forget all of these hassles? That question is the part of this film that shines the most. The question of what is The Matrix is both a benefit and a drawback to this film. It was a big selling point upon its release because nobody knew what it was and everyone wanted to know. But this is one of those things that may only be usable once, and maybe only upon its release. It's kind of like Rumpelstiltskin. It's no big mystery anymore. Everybody already knows what the name is. Even if you have never seen The Matrix, you probably already know what it is at this point, because it's become such a part of our culture that it can no longer be a surprise. I don't own any of the Matrix movies, but if this one was on TV or something, I might watch it again if I didn't have anything better to do. It has certainly planted its heels into the culture, but its main legacy, I think, is really just the bullet time effects. Whether or not this movie will go on to be as classic as the effect itself is still open to debate, but my guess would be no. It's a good movie, it's just not as smart or as insightful as it thinks it is. By and large, all you get with The Matrix is a dumb action movie.